overalls that have batteries kind of embedded in them. They're great. So kind of the team lives with them, but we live outdoors for a living. So to have that edge off kind of helps. I've got gloves with battery operated heaters, vests, coveralls. Works out really well. Works out pretty good. Yeah. Take a extra layer off. Need to. If you make a mistake, you can always power it on. You let me know the countdown, Ken. Is that thing pointed right, or are we on? Oh, you're supposed to give me the what? I was chit-chatting with my girlfriends over here. So, hey, welcome to today's garden class. It's on growing wildflowers. Wildflowers are truly wild in the mountains of Arizona. This is going to be a blockbuster wildflower season in the wild. So whenever we get this kind of moisture, the hills become alive with flowers. Some years we don't get enough moisture, or frost too early, or things happen where nature is brutal, and so they don't quite, some things will come up like columbine or lupins, but then the poppies won't. Actually, poppies always come up, but there's always a wave of things. Whenever we get this kind of moisture, I think we're at 200% of moisture, at least on the eastern half. I serve on the Arizona Nursery Association's board of directors. This is a national, it's all the cotton, the citrus, it's all the ag folks, garden centers. They got a token. I'm kind of the stepchild of the group. So I kind of come in and go, here's what we're seeing with consumers. And they kind of go, well, they don't buy enough cotton. Anyway, it's funny. But one of the SRP guys are there. They run the Verde and kind of east part of the watersheds. And they are at 190, I don't know, a huge number above the average. In fact, they are fully expected. The lakes are at 70% full right now. They received from that last storm, like a couple days ago, that storm delivered more water than they saw the entire first half of the year, in just a few days. So they fully expect that Roosevelt, Bartlett, those lake system to overflow and spill out in the desert. Basically, was very disappointed because you have to waste water or not harvest all of it. So they're now have plans right now. Let's just leave it to Arizona. They're genius. Arizona is always forefront of everything in the country. I mean, women's suffrage, first one to vote. First female governor, first one. We're always the first. We're now trying to figure out how to balance the water portfolio so we do have an overflow in the SRP system. We throw it into the CAP system. So that's the APS. That's the Colorado River. Trying to balance those two portfolios out. So when we do have overages, we can pump it to the other side and balance out the port. This is genius. This is great stuff. So we're still in drought. I don't know if we're still in drought, but the drought is still affecting us, but we're trying to figure this thing out. So that was on Thursday, had a meeting. But it's nice to be back home. That was down in Phoenix. Anyone hate to go down to Phoenix as much as I do? Oh my gosh. You got to put your big boy panties on. I drive a sports car. And I'm driving at like 55. Oh, it's so nice. And then people are going, do, do, do. I mean, okay, it's time. I'm in Phoenix. Let's go. It's crazy. Okay, enough about that. A couple things I'll share before we get into wildflowers. Let me share who I am first. My name's Ken. I'm your friend. I'll make sure that you do well with gardening. Wildflowers today, but whatever it happens to be. I also own the garden center. I'm the second generation owner. So my father-in-law had four very pretty daughters. He had all daughters. And I took a liking to the youngest, prettiest one. As that's Lisa's, my wife, big, pretty blonde, pretty big. You don't say big with women. A beautiful blonde down in the store. That's my wife. And so she basically grew up in the garden center. My daughter, Mackenzie, real tall gal, she's there today too. She's the third generation training to take the reins. She's got all the education. Now she needs the experience. So we're having to rotate between all the departments. And then this is way beyond a business. This is I look at it as a legacy. We've been in the business, we've been in the community so long, we would hope that if we were to go away, we'd be missed. And that's the goal of a true small mom and pop business. That's our goal. So that's kind of who we are. I've got 4 kids myself, 3 daughters, 1 son. Our son just deployed this week to Poland. Pray for him if you would, those of you that pray. He's on the front line of this Russian thing. It's a defense thing. It's a spiritual force. He's basically he's a PA. So if you get hurt while shooting a howitzer cannon, his team takes care of you. He takes your clinics and that kind of stuff. He's pretty high up there, but we're very proud of him. Just deployed. An insider tip, my wife, Lisa, she's going to go visit him. So I just booked tickets last night going to Krakow, Poland. The base is right there. So she's a brave gal. I can't go because she's going to go in March, but she's going to go see how he's doing. So just I'm a little nervous. This thing spills over the border. Ukraine and Poland are right next door to each other, and Krakow is right there. I mean, it's just like right there. So anyway, that's kind of our family, our history. We've been gardening for a lot of years. So this is my actually the garden center will have its 61st spring open house on March 11 and 12th. That's where we bring our growers in. You see all the new introductions. We pray that it's not going to be a blizzard condition. So you never know in March. It could be beautiful or you never know. Go either way. But they're coming anyway. Helps us to get ready. We stocked the garden center up with the new flower introductions. All the lilacs will be here. Forsythias, fruit trees are already coming in. We're already starting to fill up for that. We've got about 7 weeks before that. Is that right? No. We've got like 6 weeks or 5 weeks. Gosh, it's scary how soon spring will be here. This just delivered yesterday. That's brand new. Just came off the truck. That's an Austrian pine. Specifically this variety. Oh, Oregon green. It's a little bit tighter, fuller, but it's related to ponderosa pine. Ponderosa is basically when you plant a ponderosa out there, you're not really getting a tree. You're getting a trunk. The tree will be up there. You'll never see it. So really, to have something in the landscape that keeps its foliage to the ground is kind of more desirable, especially for newer landscapes. And so this is a better replacement, and it doesn't get the bark beetle, tip borer, flathead borer, all the issues that ponderosas get. This one doesn't get that. So that's brand new that just came in. And then fruit trees. I know it doesn't look like much, but you want to plant your fruit trees while they're dormant, not while they're leafed out or with fruit on them. I mean, you can. That's the most popular time. But for my friends, I'd rather see you put it in so that tree wakes up while it's in the ground. So it kind of goes, what just happened? I was in a bucket at the farm when I went to sleep, and now I'm waking up here in your yard. That's ideal because there's less transplant shock. It just roots out better. It's better. In fact, fruit trees, you kind of want to be aware of this if you're into edibles at all. Fruit trees are kind of like people. They got to be a certain age before they can really fruit and blossom and do well. And typically for trees, that's going to be about 7 years old. So this tree is about 7 to 10 years old, actually. So it will easily produce fruit. It's of fruiting age. When you go to the box stores, they're cheaper. They are cheaper, but they're whips. You're going to be 3 to 4 years out before you actually get fruit. You better nurture it, pray it doesn't die before then. At Waters Garden Center, you get plants that produce right now. So, because we know who our customer, you are our core customer. You is our peeps. So that's kind of, we know what you want. You don't want to wait. You want it now, not 3 years from now. So we bring in trees. All of our trees are of fruiting age, including figs, pomegranates, apples, pears, cherries. So I bring that up. And I'm trying to inspire gardeners because it's January. You all are freakish. You know that, right? It's January in a greenhouse trying to stay warm enough, talking gardening. They have medication for that for you all. Okay. So, but I'm one of you. I'm a gardener too. I'm wanting to go, trying to go, what can I inspire them with? You got to come up later and look at the flower buds are swelling actively right now. Your maple buds, my maple in the front yard of my own house, the buds are quite large, and they're getting larger, plumper very quickly right now. I noticed yesterday, so I'm stretching. I want to see spring. I'm tired of cold, tired of winter. The box elder bugs came out yesterday. That's a leading indicator. It's a little tiny bug. It's cute as can be. It's got orange stripes on it, and they like the native box elders. They've been wintering under the snow all winter. And finally, they came out yesterday. They were on the south side, enjoying the sun. So you can see it if you're looking for nature. They're going out. They want to be outside gardening like you do. We all kind of feel it. Wildflowers are one of those things, they need the cold. The mistake I find newbies make with wildflowers, they wait until May when they're putting their tomato plants in and we're past frost. They're also doing their wildflower seed. You could do plants by then. I've got garas and all the echinaceas, coreopsis. I've got all those things in full bloom then. That's the way to plant them while we're in the growing season. The most economical, easiest, broadest way to plant wildflowers is to do it by seed and to do it in the winter. Wildflowers typically a lot of them have very heavy hulls. They need to go through this freeze-thaw cycle to scarify or open up or crack that outer seed hull so the seed can actually germinate. It's a defensive thing, so those seeds can be in that ground for years and still be viable. It's a way of nature ensuring that they're going to have longevity for millennia to come, not just this next season. So if you know that's how wildflowers work, put them in the ground while they're still freeze-thaw so you can take advantage of that. Some of the wildflowers are as light as a feather. Literally, they are like a feather. They're made to pick up and just float away. You need to make sure that those seed want to have seed soil contact. So you want to make sure that you get those things in the ground because they naturally want to just float off on the back of a box elder bug or birds or the feet on the bottom of your shoes. They want to spread that way. So if you know that, I'm going to teach you a way to ensure you get better germination on your seed. Let me just pass out some of these. So we've got 4 mixes that we make. And I'll show you the first. This is spray to poppy. And I'll just pass one this way, then this way. There's 4 bags. There's 4 varieties that we blend. This is spray to poppies. California poppies are probably the most famous of all the poppies. It's that orange flower about this big with 5 petals. Gets about this tall out in the gardens. It's like a weed, just keeps growing and spreading. Orange is so boring sometimes. So we put together reds and whites and yellows. They're all the same. We blended and we called it a parade of poppies. They're all related. But poppies come in more than just one color, orange. They also come in others. And so we've made our own blend. So I'll let you take a look at those. Poppies are one of those. And just kind of pass it that way in a garden-esque way. That's one. Poppies have to have the cold. They have to have that freeze thaw. You need to put them out while there's winter. If you're going to wait until spring, let's say we're out of this by mid-April, we're kind of into serious spring. I mean, the lilacs, they are in bloom. The forsythias are almost done blooming by then. Your fruit trees, they're all in bloom by the end of April. If you're putting your poppies in then, you're almost too late. There I tell folks, if you're going to do it late, buy them, take the seed and throw them in the freezer for a couple days. Then bring them out, let them thaw, put them back in for a couple days, do that for about a week. And all of a sudden you can artificially create winter for those seeds. So you can do that as gardeners. We know how to trick nature into kind of doing our thing. And that's one way to trick it. So you can do them later, but why go through all that work when you can just throw them out now? In fact, your timing could be absolutely perfect. We got a little front coming in tomorrow night. It looks like Monday, Tuesday, something like that. I'm hoping they're saying 1 to 4 inches. I don't know what to believe anymore. They say no snow. There's 3 inches in the morning. They say 4 inches. There's none. I have no idea. We're supposed to be in El Nino, which is a dry winter. Look at this. We're at 200% above. So what I've learned over the decades is never believe the weatherman. They don't know. Almanac. That's just marketing, PR. It sounds good. They don't really know. This is the #1 seller by far. This is an Arizona mix. This has poppy in it. It also has a whole bunch of other native type of wild seed in it. It's pretty showy. It can go without any water by itself. I encourage folks to water it. And I'll tell you my little secret, what I do when I'm starting my seed. but this is made to be our native mix. This is what you see growing on the roadside. If you water it, though, it will keep it blooming longer, and you take that gap out of it so you don't have that regular, in spring it gets real green, then in June it's really dry. Then the monsoons come and it's really green, then the fall comes and it's really dry. You can gap it out by sporadic watering and have it green all the time. That's what we want as gardeners, isn't it? Green all the time. So that's Arizona mix. Take a close look. You'll see flathead. You'll see all kinds of seeds in there. This is one. Gardeners like butterflies. Who likes hummingbirds? Who doesn't like hummingbirds? Come on. Butterflies and hummingbirds. Butterflies are like fairies of the gardens. They just flutter around. They're just beautiful. Our Arizona butterfly is the swallowtail. That's the official. I don't know who comes up with this stuff, but we have monarchs, painted ladies, the smaller ones. We've got all kinds of butterflies here. But that's a butterfly and hummingbird mix. So it's bigger flowers, tubular shaped flowers. So penstemons are a core of this one. So we're trying to focus it in specifically for hummingbirds and butterflies. So I'll let you kind of pass that one around. And then the last one, because so many of you are interfacing the forest, javelina, deer, rabbits, pack rats, you are in the front lines of mammal mayhem coming in and eating your gardens. So we had to do something. So there are some flowers that are more resistive. So we made a deer and rabbit resistive. I don't say proof. Sometimes, like I helped a customer last week. The deer are bedding in her garden. So they took their ground cover and they're actually bedding right there. So it's just, they're not eating it. It's all laid over. And so I'm going, okay, well, that's probably not going to help you. But they won't eat this one as easily as they would, let's say, the hummingbird and butterfly mix. There's some natives, the sap is different, or they've got a texture like gaillardias. The flower actually puts a hair follicle on the bottom side of the leaf and on the stems. That's a defense that plant has created. So when they start to eat that, they might eat a mouthful, but that hair gets stuck in their throat and they're kind of going, where's the water? I don't like this. So so plants are genius in that way. They're trying to defend themselves. This is the deer and rabbit resistive plant list. So there's 4 that we put together. Something you should put on your radar. I mean, obviously you all have you're tracking us. You like Waters Gardens. You like independent garden centers. You like value based on quality, information, success. We're not selling plants. We're selling garden success. That's our goal. You're one of us. Obviously, you're here. Be careful if you're buying wildflowers from other places. And here's the reason why. Many times you'll see this pretty, like Valentine's is coming up. I'm very excited because as a man, I'm all done already. Got my cards, all my daughters, granddaughters. Should I send a Valentine card to grandsons? That just seems so, no. Thinking daughters mainly, just as a grandfather. Anyway, sending them all off. So I got my wife all set. She's all good. And you'll see these kind of glitzy packaging. It's all packaging. Buy this for your garden Valentine. And it's $9.99 or anymore. It's $14.99. So it's at a value price. The stuff that's inside that are all filler. Not all of that is seed. The package you're seeing go around that is 100% perennial seed for here. That is, they're going to germinate, they're going to reseed, and then that plant that grew up is going to come back again. So your wildflower patch comes back. So perennial and permanent, they keep coming back over and over and over. That's what you want. You don't want an annual out there. An annual is something that grows once, blooms. It'll be spectacular this year. It'll be gangbuster. But then that's it. You're going to do it every year thereafter. The seed can sometime come back, but this is all just an equation. They're going, I need a package. It's really pretty for $14.99. Shove something in there and call it Wildflowers. That's what you'll find at other places, but not here at Waters Garden Center. Our packages aren't that pretty. They're in bulk. We make them ourselves, and we're trying to get things that are for here, and they're 100% wild flower seeds. So watch don't be tricked by packaging, and watch for the annual piece of it. My friends, I want to have perennials out there. So you do it once, it comes back year after year. Okay. At the end of the year, so right now, my wildflowers, I got a huge patch, probably as big as this. Spectacular butterflies, and I mean, just it's always alive. Something's always coming up in waves. There's waves of color throughout the growing season. Right now, the snow has got it all laying down. So I've got it on my list. The next time the ground thaws and the snow is off that patch, I'm just going to take a lawnmower, go over it, and all the seed that remain there just going to go shwoon. They're going to spread all over the place. And then any holes I might have had are going to reseed themselves. And now this year's spring, probably by March, we'll start to see wildflowers come up. They won't be in bloom, but they'll be actively growing. All those holes will fill in with additional seed that are out there. That's the beauty of wildflowers. The negative with wildflowers, if you're from the East Coast or you like more traditional formal gardens, wild and formal don't really go together. They're kind of more, you're not going to plant wildflowers in a row kind of stuff. If you do that, you'll plant it at the edge of a driveway next to a strip. You'll do it that way, or a raised bed. You'll try to create that more formal look by having angles that are more formal. Does that make sense? They are wild. So if you want a more formal garden with the layers of tall, medium, short stuff, probably you want to buy the individual plants where you control exactly what color and shape that plant is. And that'll be more of a April, May, June thing. When we have all the flowers, we'll have penstemon, the wild penstemon in bloom, in growing here at the garden center, several varieties. And they'll be stunning. And the hummingbirds will be on them as we're unloading them at the truck from the farm. We'll take them, the hummingbirds will be following us down to the lower greenhouse, which is our perennial house. You can add that too. Those seed that I just passed around, you don't have to stick with that seed. If you want more poppies, your thing is poppies, but you want some of the Arizona mix, you can blend the two things together. Don't feel like you have to be locked into what I created. I'm just trying to create things that are pretty, that have proven themselves, that people that are being written about. But if you want more red, take a wildflower, take a red and throw it in there. You can mix it yourself. There's no right or wrong with this. It's truly kind of it's truly a gardener's paradise. Kind of make it easy for you. Okay, now how do you start wildflowers? I've got a handout for you. I've got 2 handouts and a coupon. This is what I'm talking about right now. I'm going to send this to you with a URL link. I'm going to email it to you. Okay, so it's full color. I didn't want to print off 50, 60 copies. And you folks online are always complaining if I hand it out here, you don't get a copy. So you've already got the URL embedded in that chat sidebar. You can print it yourself. So that's how to grow wildflowers. I'm going to tweak it a little bit. Some things that I do, I do a lot of wildflowers. They're just so easy. I'll give you a few other insider tips that I kind of do in addition to this. And then it is time to prune. You should be actively pruning. You should be cutting back your perennials. You should be pruning back fruit trees, hedging stuff. It's time to clean up, serious cleanup. Your wild grasses, miscanthus, deer grass, pampas grass, that huge one that gets like this big white flowers, cut that baby right back to knee level, whack it right off. Now's the season, fertilize it, and you'll have fresh new growth. If you don't do that to your grasses, they look kind of brown or beat up right now. You'll get this green going through the brown. It doesn't look as clean and neat. It'll grow just fine, but you want it to look good, so whack it off. So fresh, new green, and then those new plumes come on. So it's time to do all that. So I'm going to send you the pruning basics. Doesn't relate to the class, but it's just so timely. I thought that it would be good for students in the class. So those are 2 things I'm going to send you. Who's brand new? Who's only been here for 1 month? Really? Where are you from? Denver. It's amazing how many Coloradans are here. I was talking to our tourist, City of Prescott tourist, whatever his title is, guru. #1 visitor, Prescott, Arizona. From Denver, Colorado. And they're using that plane coming down. I'm getting out of the cold. They're jumping on the plane coming down. they're hanging out down here. In fact, I'm talking to more Coloradans where they're just going, I'm tired of the cold. I like the four seasons, but I'm tired of that cold. I want this. So welcome. Would you pass this back to her? Here, I'll give you the wildflower one. I need one of these just to make sure I cover all the points. Let her have that one. Who else is over on this side? I'll give you a pruning one. Where are you from? Where? Santa Barbara. Can you say that? Don't say California. Just say Santa Barbara. Yeah. Oh, you're here 9 years ago. Well, gotcha. There you go. A month ago. Well done. I've got one more pruning one. How about on this side? Anyone over here? In the back? It's all yours. Pass it right on back there. And again, you'll all get this. Don't feel like you're left out. I don't want that. I just like the new folks. Newbies are so cute. And we give them such a hard time sometimes. They drive too fast. They haven't figured out how to lower the heart rate. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Email a name right there. Please put your name down too. Some of your handwriting is so bad. I can't interpret what your email address is. And sometimes your name is, some of you get really creative, like roselady@google.com or whatever. But it helps me kind of input it correctly. So just put that down. If you're part of our garden club already, like I read a weekly garden column, if you're already getting that, this is not going to all 10,000 people on that list. This is just for you. You're the only ones that are going to get those two, pruning and wildflowers. So put your name down, even though you're getting let's say what was today's garden column on? Oh, wildflowers. Oh, gotcha. Did a column on that I wrote like 3 weeks ago. So I'm always trying to get ahead. So anyway, okay. All right. So here's what I do. Let's get it where the folks online can watch this. So when I'm doing wildflowers, this is just my take on it. So where did those packages go? Let me have one of those, a couple of those. Oh, good, perfect, that's perfect. So what I'll do is, whenever I'm doing wildflowers, I'll have a bucket. A wheelbarrow is kind of the easiest. A lot of us have those at home anyway, or something like that. And this is just basically, it's just compost. We just take wood chips. We've got an old sawmill over in Taylor, Arizona that we harvest the 50-year-old tailings. We screen it down, it comes out like this. So it's a locally sourced product. It's made mainly for planting trees and shrubs, but it works really good with planting wildflowers. So what I'll do is I'll just take a bag of this. And the reason I'm doing this is twofold. One, I'm going to do some of these poppies. Poppy seeds are so small you can barely see the things. When you spread them out in your garden, you can't tell where you just seeded. And so it's really hard to identify where they go to. So it's a way for me to figure out, to spread it more evenly out in the yard. Secondly, butterflies and hummingbirds. I'd rather have Arizona mix. Can I do that? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, awesome. You're hired. We are hiring right now. Need a job. We'll just put you by the register. We'll have you answer phones. You're hired. When you're expecting? Monday. Oh my gosh, gardeners, you guys are freakish. Oh my gosh. That's a gardener for you. So we sell it by the scoop. A scoop will cover 100 square feet, which is 10 by 10. So I probably was way too generous with this. I put like 3 handfuls in there. So this is probably 300-400 square feet of seed. I just dump it in there and I'll kind of mix it up like this. And the reason that I'm doing this is it helps me do 2 things. One, when I spread it, I can see where I put it over that garden soil. It's more even. Secondly, and most importantly, well, there's 3 reasons, I guess. You really don't want to put the world's most expensive bird seed out there. Birds are hungry right now. And so this hides that seed. So they got to really work at it to get at the seed. So I've never had birds take out all my seed, where if you just expose them out there, they're gonna eat half your seed. Third, it ensures that seed gets soil contact. So you get better germination rate because that mulch is getting to the soil. And you're noticing right now the soil is freezing. So you see it's real fluffy right now. So we call that heaving, where in the day it thaws. and at night it freezes, so you get the soil's doing this right now. Well, when it's doing that, you put some mulch on it, it almost gobbles up the seed and gets you better soil contact. So that's why another reason that this is the time. Now through really the middle of March, first or second week of March, the perfect window for wildflowers. Not the only window, just the best window. Now this is what I do. This has been a game changer for mine. I get a bottle of this Aqua Boost. This is kind of extra. This is a polymer soil polymer that when this stuff gets wet, it turns into a gelatin. So it holds like 200 times its weight in water. That really helps take the edge off when the flowers, when they start to germinate. It helps even out the moisture. And then we infuse this with mycorrhizal fungi, which are mycorrhizal, boy, now we're going really deep. They attach themselves to the roots and extend the roots out of plants. So it's a symbiotic thing that happens. It's a game changer. Mycorrhizals are the best. That's what turns your soil alive like that. Wildflowers go crazy for this. So I'll take a bottle of this, and I just basically dump the whole thing in there. Oh. And then I blend those things together. So two things. One, I'm trying to mainly keep the birds off. And then secondly, I'm trying to spread it evenly over that soil because it's just impossible. The first few times I did this by putting the seed down, then mulching on top, I had this bunchy, it just wasn't even enough for me. Came up with this. You're creating basically your own hydro mulch. This is your own hydro mulch. So I'll mix this up. And when I'm all done, that looks pretty good. Then I'll just take my shovel or whatever and I'll spread it out like this. Game changer. It really makes a difference. Now, how do you process the soil before you put this down? You don't have to do a lot of work, but a big mistake a lot of folks make is they've got this big slope off their driveway. Weeds are coming out. Snakes live there. I don't know. Scorpions come out at night. It's freakish there. They want something living to kind of keep it all intact, keep it from washing away, erosion control. They're saying, oh, wildflowers. I'll just chuck some seed over. That doesn't work. You need to do more prep work than just chuck the seed out. Well, that's how nature does it. Well, yeah, nature has a billion seed they throw out there. You're going to put out a few thousand. That's it. The scale at which nature does seed is far greater than you can afford to put out there. So you kind of want to be more strategic. If you're doing that, I would say create some pockets in that hill bank, pull some of the rocks out, some of the riprap, and just maybe put some of this in the little pockets and put the seed in there. So try to create pockets. Don't just throw the seed over. A few of the flowers will come up, but you'll be sorely disappointed, trust me. You want to be more strategic with it. If you can, rake the area with a stiff tine rake. That's what I do. Just rake it. We call it scarifying or opening up the soil. So just rake all the rocks, the debris, old weeds, roots, things that are in the soil. Just rake all that stuff off to the side. It also opens up the earth. Then sprinkle this stuff on top of that. That will make a difference. I mean, I guess ideally, if you could prep it like a lawn, take a rototiller down to 8 inches down, and then add some mulch and get it all right, that'd be the best. That's not wildflowers, though. That's lawns. That's flower beds. This, you can just rake it, spread the mix we just put together down, and then water it. What I'll do with mine after I get this down, I add 2 things on top of it. I want to fertilize it, so I will add all-purpose plant food. This is a organic food that will increase the root count, and it'll get your top growth. Young plants are hungry. And if you're throwing this down right on native earth, raw, native, like open soil, there's nothing really good down there, which is probably why you don't want to garden as much there. But if you could regenerate, just add some nutrients to that garden spot, game changer for the size of flowers, the number of flowers, the fragrance. It's all going to increase by giving it a little bit of food. This will fertilize that bed through till about monsoon season. So you just do it once granular, sprinkle it on top. Some people go, well, can I add it to my mix? You could. I'm into ease. I'm the laziest gardener ever, and I have pretty gardens, but I don't like a lot of steps, and I don't overcomplicate things. Mix this up, put it down, throw your fertilizer down, call it good. Second thing I do, and this is probably the most important, humic, which is humic acid. Humic acid, this is, if you were to take a compost pile and just boil it down to its last little bit, it'd be humic acid. What humic acid does for plants is it stimulates the soil. It activates the soil. It's not a fertilizer. It brings in the worms. It pollinates with mycorrhizal fungi. It enlivens the soil so the plants go, whoa, I'm rooting here and it's alive. This is great. I'm just going to put on a massive root structure. So you get deeper, broader roots on your plants with humic acid. How important is that for seedlings? This is the stuff for seedlings. Any lawn, every time I put my flower beds, I'm returning my vegetable gardens now. I'll add this because I want roots. If you want bigger tomatoes, increase the roots. This helps with the roots. Okay, so humic, the fertilizer, and your mix, and that's kind of what I do. That's it. Well, which one goes on first? This or this? It doesn't matter. The plant doesn't know. It's going to break down over the next couple months and just start to come up. So sometimes folks like to overthink things. Just go through the process. It'll work. It'll all break down at its own rate. And then pray for snow. That's why this system coming up, if you can put it down before and snow comes on top of it, it's like the best thing ever for seeds because now you got freeze thaw and moisture. And as that snow melts, it's going to push those seed down into the soil. You get better seed soil contact, keeps the birds off. It's just a lot. That's what all wildflowers want. Okay, I think we're done. That's how you plant wildflowers. The other thing too, watch. I have had quite a number of customers that planted wildflowers, and they'll have the mow and blow guys come in. You know, the blow my yard off, prune things up, keep things clean. Those guys love pickup trucks, electric, anything with a battery or power motor, but they don't know plants. And they can't identify plants. I've had more of those guys kill off, spray, cut back wildflower patches. Because when they first come up, they look wild. They look like, is that a weed? Is that not a weed? What is that? Now, 3 weeks later, it's in full bloom, but they cut it back before it gets there. So kind of tell them, don't assume they know. Please don't do that. They don't know. Just tell them, oh, and leave this area. Don't cut this area. Don't blow this area. Just leave it alone. Like water it. Make sure it gets irrigation to it or whatever. Just kind of watch something I've seen happen over the years. Right now we're putting down weed and grass stopper. So the foxtail is going to come up here by Valentine's Day. It's a cute little green grass. Just the cutest little thing. You just want to lay on it. And then it gets this burr on it that wants to go through your ankle and come out the other side. It's a nasty weed. It's foxtail. Very common winter weed. And so we're putting down weed and grass stopper right now to prevent that because it only comes back by seed. So if you're going to do that, don't put weed and grass stopper down, a weed killer, a seed killer, down where your wildflowers are. Put it everywhere else, but not here. Just I've seen that mistake over and over several times, more than I can count on two hands. Some common sense, but not so common sense. If you don't know, you just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. I'm here to help you. Just put it on the top of your list. So those two are the biggest mistakes I can think of. Q&A, yeah. Right, crushed granite, yeah. Yep. So if I understand the question, just for those folks online or over here, you've got an area that has fabric and rock on it. How do I put wildflowers there? That's easy. Yeah. So it won't go through rock. So pull the rock back. you need to create a garden area. And then usually I'll just take a razor blade and cut that square out or round or whatever that kidney shape, whatever that shape is that you want that grown in, cut that piece out. So the beauty with weed fabric, water and food can go through it this way, but weed seed can't come up through it this way. It's actually a really good product. Well, seed are not going to go, I don't care what kind of seed, weeds, flowers, whatever, not going to go down that way. So you have to remove that fabric out of there. It's really easy to take a razor blade, just cut it right out. Then scrape the soil up, put your seed down, just what we just said, for that spot. Let's say it's 50, 60 feet, whatever that is. Just do it right there. Just pretty easy. Oh, okay, well, whatever. Well, it will be that by the end of May. Okay, so natives are going to have pretty deep root structure. That's what makes them so hardy. So they're going to have at least 8-inch or more. Penstemon going to have a pretty fight, like a carrot, almost a good. That's why they're so robust. So more is better. I have seen quite a few folks have raised beds. So they've had an old raised bed that's out there off to the side. It's kind of ugly. They've stopped gardening in there. They used to grow tomatoes and cucumbers, and now what do? Quite a few folks have topped that off with potting soil. We make our own potting soil. Our growers mix. They'll put the potting soil in there. They'll put seed on top of that, and it just comes up like that, and it's beautiful. That would be a way, I would say, for you to look at it. Or a big pot, big container, a bowl, using decorative either raised beds or containers, and sprinkle your seed on top of that. So there's ways around it. So, and then if that doesn't work, we'll actually have the actual plant in bloom, starting April, May, June, July, August, September. Through the growing season, I'll have all those native plants, including the #1 seller. Anyone know what the #1 selling kind of native-y shrub perennial is? Autumn sage, or Salvia greggii. It's got a red flower to it. Hummingbirds love it. In fact, it's so robust here that we're trying to introduce more colors. We've got a purple, apricot, pinks, a white one with a red edge called lipstick. So we've got quite a few different varieties, but they're all related. They're kind of like roses. They're all just rose bushes, but the flowers change. They're all equally hardy. The hummingbirds like them all. The pigs don't eat them. Javelina. So we're trying to introduce more of those. You can just put one of those in a pot and away you go. In the back. Yeah. It seems like you're agitated at this. Yeah. Is that my sensing you're just kind of agitated about the whole thing? So for the folks online, she's got a garden and she's fenced, but something's coming in eating her stuff, and she's ticked. Okay, and I would be too. So what I brought this up for you because I'm finding the same thing in my house. The voles, I'm catching about a vole a week. These are field mice. In fact, a Scotty, we got an old puppy, 9 months old, 8 months, I don't know, still puppy. Got into the trap and went, oh, I brought it indoors. Went, oh, look, you trapped this. I brought it inside for you. Aren't you happy? And laid it at the bottom. It's like a cat or something. We're having mice. I'm thinking it's either pack rats, chipmunks, or pack rats, or mice. Probably pack rats. I'm guessing it's pack rats. So it'd be my guess. They're notorious for stripping bark off of trees. They get into my roses sometimes. What I'm doing with myself, this is zinc. This is bird seed, right? It's a zinc phosphate. Zinc is safer than strychnine. Don't use strychnine because it keeps killing it doesn't ever stop killing. If a coyote or bobcat or cat or dog eats the pack rat or whatever, it kills them too. And then if something eats it, it keeps killing. Zinc doesn't do that. It's a once and then it's out. Much safer. Still a poison, be common sense, but what I'm doing is I'm putting this underneath Tupperware things where they can get to it. Or in my sheds, I take this and I open it up. I won't open it, but I'll just lay it down sideways. I treat this like a like a mouse bait kind of thing. So I'll just leave it there going, have at it, guys. Have a famous last meal on me. I want you to be happy and die. Because the vermin, it's going to be a small thing. The voles are the first ones to come out in spring. Many times you'll see them tunneling underneath the snow and stuff. My guess it's either pack rats or voles. And I think Mama just pushed out the litter in my gardens. And so there, I live in this chaparral area where the pinyon pines and manzanitas, Apache plumes are growing. Well, they like getting in there, and I think they're coming into the gardens going, I'm hungry. What do I do? And so they're digging holes in your pansies because pansies are delicious. And it's a warm place that you hydrate that keeps them going. So I'm guessing it's that. So either a bait, a trap, a sticky, something out there. So in the backyard, I've got actual traps because the dogs are out there. And I don't want to put poisons where my dogs are, because if something happens to my wife's dogs, my dogs, but her dogs, it's over for me forever. I might as well just leave. It's done. The front yard, I use bait stations because that's not where the animals roam around. So I have a trap line in the back, and I have a bait station in the front. That's how I do it. And it's a halo effect. It keeps them at bay pretty good. In the back. Yeah. Yeah, good. That's actually a really good question. So he's got an area of grass, wild grass. Can he put flowers there? Did I kind of summarize that effectively? So we do have two. So we call that a meadow, grass with flowers coming through it. That's a meadow. And we make our own meadow mix. It's wild grasses, buffalo, fescues, that kind of stuff. The lower grasses, and then flowers coming through it. We used to combine our native wild grass mix, which is tall wheatgrass. It's kind of what you see on the side of the road growing. It's that mix. But that's really made for scars of construction. You have a new septic tank that grew, or you want to hold a bank in that's eroding in and just want wild grass. It's that. It's tall, it's short. And what the tall grasses do is they tend to shade the flowers. So after a year or two, the flowers just weren't there. They weren't blooming. It didn't show well. So it depends on, I guess what I'm saying is it depends on how tall that grass is. If you could keep it down some so the flowers could get light, it would bloom very well. Otherwise, you're ripping it up and putting probably a wildflower, a meadow mix, low grasses with flowers in it. Now you get the best of both worlds. Did I answer that? Yeah, kill them. Just wildflowers? Oh, that's just kill it off, dig it up, get rid of the roots. Away you go. Wildflower grasses are pretty easy to get rid of because they have usually a fibrous root mass. They don't have runners that keep going forever like Bermuda. So you can usually dig them up, rototill it, scrape it off, put your seed down, away you go. Probably that's the way I would do that. Right here. Okay, so she's going to mix up her wildflowers, put it down. It's going to snow. Does she still need to water? You really don't have to water this. I would say no, you don't. What I do with mine, so when seedlings come up, they're kind of sensitive to, hey, Ken, maybe you could go down. I don't know what to do with this. I don't need more wildflowers. Yeah. Oh, just get some bags for us. I'll give each one a scoop if they want it. Every couple of weeks, I'll water my wildflowers. Here's what I do. This is kind of my name's Ken. He's a gardener. These are gardeners talking. What I do is I'll put a soaker hose out in that area that I want. I'll either loop it around or have it go through. I turn it on. Wherever there's wet spots, I'll pin it down to the ground. Where there's wet spots, I put this stuff around those wet spots. Makes it super easy to maintain. I just put a hose on there. You know, the soaker hose I'm talking about, the black porous weeping type of hose. I'll put that down and then I'll pin it and I'll put this on it. It comes up and it's still below mower level or weed whacker level. So it's not in the way. It's black, so it disappears pretty quickly. As soon as those seedlings come up, you don't see it. It's an easy way to kind of do it. What I've done with my most recent patch, I put the 1/4 inch soaker hose at the drip line, and every foot they put a They make a cut in it so it weeps about 1 gallon per hour. So I just buried that very lightly underneath the soil, pinned it, turned it on. I saw where the wet spots were, and I put my wildflowers on top of that. And I got an irrigation clock that just comes on like once a week, once every 10, 14 days. Actually, I haven't had it on since like March. No, since November, and I'll probably turn it back on in March or so. So it's been off for a while because we've had a lot of moisture so far this winter. Now it might turn and we might not see moisture again after this next storm. You never know. It can be we either have so much it washes out bridges, or we've got none for 6 months. We never know in the mountains of Arizona. It could be other. If you could fill in that gap, it's a game changer for your entire landscape, but also wildflowers. Yeah, the back. Yeah. 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 So can you plant wildflowers in the shade or under a tree, among trees? I would say that's where most of the best wildflowers are in Arizona, like our native columbine. It's a yellow columbine. That's where it grows, right there. And because it's shaded, so it doesn't take nearly as much moisture because it's shaded, it doesn't dry out as fast. And even underneath a tree, that's almost like the best gardening ever, because you'll get the morning sun, so it warms up quickly in the morning. Midday shade, you get the end of the day sun. So it's like the kindest sun is there, and our days are so long here that that's enough. I would say most wildflowers need at least 4 to 5 hours of sun to really get those big flowers. If they get less than that, the tall ones will tend to get, the penstemons will start they'll start leaning. The shorter ones like poppies, they're so short, you can't tell if they're leaning. They're just there. So if you put a mixture in there, like the butterfly and hummingbird mix, thank you, Ken, appreciate that. That would be a really good one for the shade area. But the mix is, maybe this one doesn't get enough sun, but these 3 do, still looks great. That's the beauty of a mix. So, and you can mix the mixes easily. I frequently mix the mixes. Yep, you can do both. Yep, you can absolutely do both. Yeah. So is it organic or dog friendly or whatever? Yes. So with that being said, it does have nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, or it wouldn't be a fertilizer. I wouldn't leave this open in especially puppies. Puppies and stupid go in the same sentence. So, and eat everything. Or Labradors. Labradors are stomachs wrapped in love and fur. That's just kind of all retrievers. Don't leave it just open there for them to get to. Don't put it in the dog dish. Some common sense things. But if you spread it out, especially before a storm and stuff, like for my yard, we've got smaller dogs anymore. I'll go out there right before a storm hits, or even one of those crazy neighbors. It's raining out. I'm spreading fertilizer, just because now it goes in the ground so quickly. I don't have to worry about the dogs as much. But if they get some on their paws, it's make no difference. Now, that being said, I did make 2 fertilizers. Actually, I made 3, but the 2 that are granular. This is cottonseed meal and bird guano, basically, are the 2 main ingredients. The other one are made of meals, so bone meal, feather meal, so all these crushed up meals is truly organic. This I cannot call organic, it's all natural. As soon as you put a mineral in it, like sulfur and iron, you can't call it technically organic. But it's a mineral, but you were going by the definition of organic magazine, basically. I'm trying to be a purist. I did make a purely organic vegetable and fruit tree food. It's pelletized. It's a buddy of mine down in Tucson, great gardener, helped me with the formula, and it works really good. It's completely organic, and it's pelletized. Dogs like it. They'll eat it till they're sick and throw up. They like it. So that's one you kind of watch. It's not going to hurt them. Well, it's still common sense. So we just say it's people and pet friendly. Just kind of use some common sense. So did I leave enough back door on that answer for you? Yeah. Anything else? Yep. Nice. Yep. Yeah. Gotcha. So he's got a west-facing slope that's got some irrigation issues, it sounds like. So you're trying to hold that bank in. You put clover in, which is very deep. That's a good one. Clover's pretty aggressive. And he wants some flowers in there. So here, this, I've got grass. It's not, I want it pretty. I've got clover. I want it pretty. I'm hearing, I want it pretty. It's a theme here. Okay. That's why you're at the class. I would say you could put wildflowers down, put it right through, rake that area out, because mow it down as best you can, weed whack it, whatever, rake it off, put this mix down. And then the question was, should I fertilize it? Yes, you should. I would go ahead and fertilize it, and I would use it with the all-purpose. It's a 744 organic mix, so it's going to reach really slowly. That's the beauty of organic additives. They break down very slowly, and the plants pick up 100% of it. So it's not going to wash downstream like a synthetic, a Scott's turf builder or whatever. That's all just a chemical. It's a petroleum-based product. It liquefies and runs very quickly. And most of it's not even picked up by a plant. It just goes into the watershed or downhill, or your neighbors get it. It goes, not in your yard. Organics stay where you want it. I think it'd be very minor. You probably have the richest, greenest clover you ever had and beautiful flowers, both. Probably have both. I think you'd be fine. Anything else? And I'll hang for as long as we want. Good question. Yeah. So do you have to prune wildflowers at the end of the season? What I do, yes, you do. Or it just looks ugly. You'll want to. You'll know when, because they're just laying down. Right now, my wildflowers, you can see where they were, and now they're like snow has just beat them up, and they're laying on the ground. They're like drunken sailors out there in the back gardens. You kind of want to clean them up. For all you sailors out there, sorry, that was not a put down. I'll try to come up with something for the Army right afterwards. So we'll put them all down. Actually, I got Army, Coast Guard, and Navy applying for jobs here right now. So we just hired, I think, a naval veteran coming in. So we'll see how it all plays out. But we're in the hiring mode right now. So, and veterans, this is a veteran town. So we put the call out trying to attract them. But what we'll do is I'll just take a lawnmower and I just go over it, whatever the height is, just this as low as I can. Another really good way, especially in the meadow areas, weed whacker. Weed whack it as close as you can to the ground. The beauty about a weed whacker is it just kind of gets the seed to go woo all over the place. The problem with the weed whacker is the seed go woo all over the place. So it's harder to control where they kind of say, where's a lawnmower can keep them kind of more evenly out there. And then you can actually do it by, old school pruners, edgers, knees, back stuff. I'm into easier stuff. So I just literally I drag my electric lawnmower over and I just go over it real quick and I'm done. So that's what you do. Actually, I was pruning back my mums, chrysanthemums. They were up about this big from last fall. Prune them back, and already I've got green coming up at the base. They're already starting to grow. So everything wants to go. They're just waiting for the first warm day, and it's going to be daffodils in bloom. Everything's just going to go all at once because the nature is wanting to blossom. They're tired. It's been cold longer than normal this year. It started like back in October, November. It was cold. It's winter, the end of October. I mean, hardcore winter. Normally, it's not until December when it's just like, I want to go inside, just sip tea and bake cookies all day. I don't want to be outdoors. We've had 2 more months of cold, which means your flowers will go really fast. As soon as they can, they'll go. Anything else? What I'm going to do, I'll make sure that clipboard goes around. Make sure you get the handouts. That'll be to you here in a day or two. We'll see how the day goes. It's pretty busy right now. The gardeners are in. They come in waves. Obviously, we got 50, 60 people here. And how many are on? Anyone online have a question? Feel free to. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, well, pigs eat wildflowers. Generally, they'll leave them alone. So yes, they will. They can. I would say the Arizona mix is best for you because it's got more of those wilder Arizona mixes. So penstemons, gaillardias, that kind of stuff, gazanias, all those hairy, fuzzy things that grow out there. They're less likely to eat those. What javelina will do is If you're working in your gardens, they're very interested. Remember, they're living in your neighborhood, and they don't have they can't stream their favorite program and binge watch. They're bored. So when you do anything in the yard, they're going, oh, I wonder what she's doing out there. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Let's go. And they'll kind of dig things up just to see what was going on out of curiosity. The deer will come and munch on things just to see if maybe they like it. They don't, but they'll nibble a branch before they actually graze on and go forward. They're very interested. They see anything new out there in their environment. And so as a gardener, you're either fencing it or trying to keep them out of it. But for this question, go with the Arizona mix. That's the one that's going to be less prone to be eaten by deer or rabbits. Probably the deer resistant one is another one. Those two, if you're going to mix those two, I'd probably poppies. Actually, most of these would be fine. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, they seem to leave poppies alone. I'm not sure about the hummingbird and butterfly. That one I would probably steer clear just for those folks online. Yeah, Terry. So Terry, thank you very much for tuning in. Go with the Arizona mix or the deer and rabbit resistant mix. Those two, or the poppies. Those three mixes specifically will be less prone to have javelina, rabbits, and deer go after them. Does that make sense? There we go. Great, actually, really good question. All right, so what I've got, one last in the very, very back. You got to speak up so I can hear you because I'm right underneath this heater. Good. Can you overplant? What I find is the answer is no. I think you can not overdo it. Actually, I love the Darwinian kind of, let's see survival of the fittest. Let's see who chokes out the other one. That's kind of a fun gardener thing. I overplant my containers for the same reason. I want them to look full and finished. I don't want them to look like, did I run out of money? I couldn't afford the extra plant to make it look full. I want it to look finished, like glorious. I want you to come over and go, whoa, Ken's a gardener. He might own a garden center. Wow, that's pretty cool. I want that. I think wildflowers can be the same way. With that being said, I mean, a scoop will go 100 feet. Could you go 2 scoops in 100 feet? Easily. Do you need a pound out there? Nah, that's a total waste. So I think you can, if you had a little extra, what I would do is hold some in reserve. If I was putting it out there and it looks pretty even, I'd hold some in reserve, and when it starts coming up and when it rains or snows, it starts to float and it kind of have a gap right there. I could go and sprinkle that little spot where I missed some. I would just spot treat like in April when I could see where the seed were actually coming up. So yeah. Yeah. So if she has extra, could she save it for the next year? Yes, you could. I don't even think you have to throw it in the freezer. What I've always done at the farm is if we have a refrigerator sitting outside, we don't plug it in. We just keep all of our seed in a refrigerator because it's so insulated. It's good enough. I think your garage does the same thing. Someplace insulated, is just keep it there and you're fine. What you'll do is if you don't use it that year, you'll lose about 10% vitality per year. So not as many will come up the following year. And that's the reason that we retest all of our seeds. So we just got our 2021 seed in. You see in the back, they've all got a date, good for 2023. We've gone through every batch and tested every one of them to make sure that they're 100%, not 100, 94, 96%, whatever the crazy amount is. Almost all of them will come up. If you store them, they'll lose about 10% a year. That's where your buy 10 for $1 packages come from. That's what's left over on the floor from last year. They shove it in seed and go, I wonder if people will buy this. You're basically buying the packaging because the seed count is not going to be as consistent. There's definitely different seed qualities. So is that more than you need? Again, I go all day long on this, just kind of I go deep into. So what did the boy mushroom say to the girl mushroom? I'm a fun guy. You've already heard that one. Yeah, there we go. With that, I'll let you go. Well, I'll tell you what, if you want some of this, I've got some bags. I'll give you a scoop. It'll only do a little tiny patch. If you want some, in fact, I'll let you do it so I can answer questions. If you could just be generous and maybe take a scoop, hand it to a friend, get one for your buddy, and then that's take it home and try it. And then we've got all the seed downstairs. And then I had a coupon for today only. If you want Aqua Boost, it's 25% off for today only, just today. And then Humac, 25% off just for today. If you're going to put seed down, it really, because I want you to use those two things. And I know you probably won't do it on your own. So kind of motivation to do it like over the top. So those two things, there's coupons for you. Oops, going to take that, pass it that way. Take some of those, pass it that way. Because I forgot to tell my cashiers. So now they'll know. And so come up and get some Wildflowers until it's all gone. Be gracious, and then I'll answer questions for you if I happen to miss something. So you're learning.